in Japan and America. That's I have to say. I love so much about Japan, but that's one of the things I love a lot. We're now going to have our first training session, and this is on go-to-market strategies for biotech ventures. And I'm going to call on Carolina Garcia Rizzo to lead that session. You've already been introduced to Carolina, so I won't do it again. But over to you, Carolina.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for staying. I know that it's difficult to continue this meeting and not go out. It's nice weather, but thank you for staying. I really appreciate. I'm gonna give you a little more extensive background about myself. In first place, as I mentioned, my PhD was in atomic physics, and that's why most of the startups that I work with, they have a certain machine learning tech part of it. From there, I moved into Max Planck Institute, and I started a small unit of bioinformatics. At that time, was not even bioinformatics; it was system biology. And I did in silico proteomics. I was trying to help my colleagues who were in the lab to solve issues that they could not solve in the lab, and I did it through computing. That was what we were calling system biologists. Now is bioinformatics, and now we have artificial intelligence, even Gemini to do all those things. From there, I moved into UCSF to continue doing bioinformatics. And then finally, I decided it was time for me to follow my dream that was business. I did my MBA in MIT. I moved into consulting. I was part of Deloitte Monitor Group. And that is where I really understood the power of pharma. I did innovation projects for mostly all the big pharmas. So that helped with my network with the C-level in pharma. And following on what Larry told us about the network, that was really what I am so thankful to monitor, because it really increased my network, which is very important, as you, Larry, said. From there, I moved into corporate world. I was doing turnarounds of underperforming markets, so markets where there were no sales, no deals. I was trying to ramping up, and I did that for Cepheid, which is now part of Danaher. In Roche, I was heading business development for oncology and genomics. And then I took 2 C-level roles, as I mentioned before. One is Jazz Biotherapeutics, the ex-Amgen group, in Seattle, and then immunoengineering, which, as I mentioned before, was a successful IPO exit. I'm a partner also of Ebexia Biofund. It's a UCSF biofund where we invested in publicly traded companies. And how we created this biofund was, and I'm just saying this because maybe it's an idea for the Japanese ecosystem. So we decided that in a fund, some money goes to the partners, right? But we decided that in UCSF, we had great talent, like you may have in lots of the universities that you have here in Japan. So we decided that we will use those brains. So the way one become a partner in this biofund is because they have their PhD, their postdoc, or their expertise, they may be professor as well, in one of the stocks where we invest in. So no one of us gets money, no one of us gets paid, but we have to bring some expertise, some knowledge to the table. And I think it's a very cheap way to start a biofund. We invested our own money. At the beginning, I remember I invested only $1,000. And that's how we started. And we have been pretty successful. And this may be an idea for the Japanese ecosystem. What we have been doing as well is doing trainings for the students of UCSF of how to invest your own money. And this has been really successful. and very cheap initiative. And as I mentioned before, after being 2 times CBO, I decided to give back and to become part of boards. I am very happy to say that I am in the board of RareBase, which is a machine learning driven platform. And we do drug discovery for rare diseases, as well as we have our own pipeline. We started doing partnerships with foundations, where foundations will pay us to do sequencing of their patients, and then try to find any assets out there in the market, and whether those assets, those drugs, could be applicable for rare diseases. As you know, rare diseases is the biggest unmet market in biotech and in pharma. And that's by repositioning already approved already approved drugs, we can find a solution for those kids, those adults that they have rare diseases and they don't have any solution for them. I'm also in the board of Modulus Therapeutics. This is a really interesting startup out of the Becker Group in Seattle. A very amazing professor from Seattle that I'm sure he will get a Nobel Prize, so remember that. And it's Modulus Therapeutics. They leverage machine learning in order to optimize cell therapy. And I truly, I mean, of course, my background is in atomic physics, in computing, but I really believe that leveraging tech, we can get much farther in biotech. And we will see that. I'm also on the board of Oisin Biotechnology, another Seattle company. This is a pure therapeutics company. They act in the anti-aging arena and very successful. This is Matt Scholz. He's a 2 times entrepreneur, already a very successful startup, and this is his second startup. So when he asked me to be in the board, of course, I say yes. And the last one is QuantPI. This is a pure machine learning company, no biotech, but with application in biotech. And they develop, this is from Germany. This is a European company. And they are able to say, they are able through their platform to corroborate whether the machine learning that you are using works or it's not working, whether it has bias or it hasn't bias. And I truly believe in this startup. I think that this is what we need, especially when we move into drug discovery using machine learning, into clinical trials, leveraging machine learning. We really have to make sure that the machine learning is not a black box, but it's something that we understand how it works, because otherwise we can have a really big problem, especially in healthcare. As Larry mentioned, it's very important to keep in mind that we are dealing with the lives of patients. So this is my background, and now let's start it in this training. So the purpose of this training is to give an overview of how to go to market, how to make money, basically. And for that, I'm going to discuss briefly what's the go-to-market strategy. Then I'm going to describe what are the elements, and then I will move into what I think is really important, that is BD deals, examples, and practical tips of my experience as a BD person. So what is a go-to-market strategy? So I'm going to move here, which I think is much easier to understand. We have a product. This is the what. We have a customer. This is the who. We have a distribution, where. We have a competitive advantage, why. And we have a timeline, when. And we have a business model, how. So what is my offering? What is my product? What are the value proposition that I have with it? Who is my customer? Who is going to pay for that? And of course, in biotech, we have to be very careful about customer, because who pays sometimes is not the same who is the customer, right? We have the payers, we have the providers, and we have the patient. what is the competition? What is the competitive landscape? And how is my business model? Is this gonna be business to business? Is it gonna be business to customers? And it's gonna be flexible, because sometimes we'll see in one of the slides, I will give an example. Sometimes we start with one business model, but we have to be very flexible to tip into another business model as time evolves. And of course, the timeline, very important. What are we doing when? So one of the things that I have been trying, I'm gonna be trying to do in this conversation or in this presentation, which I wish it will be a conversation. So please feel free to stop me anytime and ask questions, because this is how you and I really learn, if we have a conversation. So I'm gonna continue talking, but anytime, please stop me. I will be happy about it. One of the things about this program, this training, that I thought it was a little challenging is because most of you guys, entrepreneurs, some of them you are working in therapeutics, you are creating a pipeline, but others, you are tools, you have in diagnostics, you have digital health. So I'm gonna give several examples as we evolve, but if you have any questions, because maybe what I'm saying doesn't apply to your startup and you want a specific example for your startup, for your digital health, and maybe I'm talking about therapeutics, please feel free to stop me, okay? I'm trying to be as broad as possible, but of course, we have limited of time. And also, there is a big difference here. There are some startups I saw that you guys are raising Series A. Some others are pre-seed and some others are seed. So of course, I'm trying to be broad here when I talk, but keep in mind that for different stages, there are gonna be different strategies, okay? So for example, in the case of a biotech, a pipeline company, so we mentioned already, we have research coming off university. I truly believe in the spin-outs. I know that my colleague from TPG believe more in the big corporations and entrepreneurs coming from the big corporations, but I truly believe that there will be some really good entrepreneurs here, and we have seen one that he's sitting here in the second row, SanBio. So a research coming off the university originated as a startup. Then, of course, there is some, maybe it's a drug discovery startup, and maybe it's funded, maybe it's self-funded through partnerships. That would be ideal, right? Because there is no dilution in the startup. Maybe it owns its own pipeline. And then maybe start doing drug discovery as a service, and that's how the startup gets money. And then some of those assets that it discovers creates an own pipeline. And then it goes into the clinical, and then maybe do a partnership with Takeda. And it's a very successful IP or a very successful IPO. So this will be kind of like the structure of a biotech, but we are going to see that there are others, like, for example, digital health or diagnostics. So I took this from McKinsey, and I think that is, like always, McKinsey does really visuals, really great visuals. And I put it here, and of course you can have the slides later on, because I think it's pretty visual for what we want to do, right? We are going to have some objectives. We are going to have a target market, and can be target market as going with therapeutics, doing a deal with a big pharma, or can be also geographically, right? Like the example that you gave before, where it was the FDA was not really approving, so let's go somewhere else, right? We are going to target some customers, maybe in digital health, the startup that we were talking before, which are going to be our customers, which ones are we going to target, and in which order. And what is our offering? Our offering may be differentiated if I try to do a deal with pharma, or if I try to do a deal with providers. And what are the channels? Which channel gets me where? This is the model, the business model canvas. I'm part of UCSF, where I help to teach entrepreneurship as well. And I'm not gonna go into this, but I really want you to have this slide because could be very useful when you pitch investors. It's really in one slide, you have everything from your partners, your key activities that you are gonna do, to get to the results that you want, the key resources that you need, very important. We were talking about resources before. The value proposition, what is your value proposition to your different partners? The customer relationships, how am I nurturing those customers' relationship, very important. Keep in mind the word of mouth from your customers is your best marketing ever. Your channels, how are you gonna get to your customers and the customer segmentation? And then of course, what are the cost structures that you are having and the revenue streams? I think that this slide is really a great summary for you guys when you pitch to investors. So what are the elements of a go-to-market strategy? I mentioned before, who is my customer? So for biotech, if you have a pipeline, of course, it's going to be pharma, right? Because you want to partner with pharma, your assets. But then you have to really think, am I going to out-license or am I going to do a co-development with pharma? If you are a drug discovery company, you are going to start doing partnerships with pharma because you are going to become their drug discovery for them. And that's a source of revenue, of non-dilutive revenue, very important. But then do I want to become a drug pipeline, a pure pharmaceutical later on? And it's possible. I mean, you have seen, for example, companies like In Silico Therapeutics that has done it very successful. Are you a service provider, a CDMO? Then you are going to do partnerships with pharma, but you are going to have a very different structure of deal that if you do a drug discovery where you have IP, and then, of course, you are going to be paid in royalties. CDMO is more fee for service, but then it's a mass market, right? The more you work with pharmas, the more money you get. Are you a diagnostics or a medical devices? And then your customer is going to be your providers. You are going to start doing deals with the hospitals, so they use your diagnostics. And then maybe you are going to get pharma as well as your customers because you may develop a companion diagnostic for the pharma. So who is my customer? Who is that person that is going to pay for my offering? And I got this diagram. I actually got it from Shungai, a Japanese company. And because I really want you to think, when you think on your customer, think very broad. If you are a diagnostic company, for example, pharma can be your partner, but also a lab, a big lab like LabCorp or Quest can be your partner as well. But even the government can be your partner because I was doing turnaround in Brazil as part of my work in Cepheid. And when I came to Brazil, there were no sales. This was the year 2011. It was booming, and we had 0 sales in Brazil. And I was hired by the board to turn around different underperforming markets. And I arrived to Brazil, and I thought, oh my God, great country, but so difficult to make business here, lots of corruption. And the CEO of Cepheid told me very clear one thing: you can do whatever you want. You have 6 months. This is hired by the board. The board in 6 months are going to tell you what are you doing, and no corruption. If you have ever been in Brazil, good luck having no corruption in a deal, okay? So good luck. So I was terrified. I was really terrified. So I arrived there, and what I did is, okay, I have 6 months for doing the impossible. I felt like Mission Impossible, really, like Tom Cruise. But what I did is, okay, so I'm gonna start doing network, following on Larry's advice. I didn't know him there, but it's a really good advice, Larry. So I arrived and I started sitting in the cafeteria of the Anvisa. Anvisa is the FDA, the regulatory agency of Brazil. So I went there, and the reason why I was doing that is because what I found out is that we had different diagnostic portfolio, and none of them were approved in Brazil. So of course, if you have non-approved diagnostics, you are not going to be able to sell anything, right? What I also found out is that in order to get your diagnostics approved in Brazil, you have to have a manufacturing facility there. But remember, they told me 6 months. So I didn't have time to build a manufacturing facility there. Plus my CEO saying, no manufacturing facility, that sounds like corruption, no way. So I say, okay, I have to convince the government to approve my diagnostic. So I have to go to Anvisa, to the Brazilian FDA. And of course, what I found out is that you have to wait 2 years to get your diagnostics approved, which I was doing my numbers, right? 6 months is not 2 years, so I was gonna fail. So I say, okay, somehow something is gonna appear here and I'm gonna be able to do it. I don't know what. So I was sitting there in the cafeteria of Anvisa when I saw an announcement of an innovation summit that was on Friday. And I say, okay, I have to sign up here. Maybe I can convince them that my diagnostics is amazing and they can approve it. I don't know what. So I signed up, and I signed up under my MIT because, of course, no foreign industries were invited to present. So sign up under the MIT, everything pretty legal, right, in a way. But anyways, sign up under MIT to promote my diagnostics from Cepheid. And I knew one thing, and it was election time. So I thought, okay, election time. I read in the news that tuberculosis was a big deal for the election. So I say, okay, we have a diagnostic of tuberculosis. So if I somehow convince them that the technology that actually was originally from a university in the state, this amazing technology, was able to help the government to win the elections, maybe I have a chance here. It's not corruption, but we are helping each other. So I got the last presentation, 5:30 p.m. in Brazil. Good luck with that one. And I presented without saying anything about Cepheid, just presenting my cartridge, my technology, the technology. And when I finished my presentation, someone in the front row raised their hand and say, we want that. That's gonna save us. And he was the director of Anvisa. So I was approved in less than 6 months. I was not fired of my job. That was good luck. I know it was really good luck, but that's why I say, think about your customer, of the whole stakeholders that you have in biotech. And you have, as you see, you have lots of them. Leverage each single one of them, because that will help you. That will help you because, as Larry mentioned, biotech is really difficult. So you have to leverage every single stakeholder that you can. So who is my customer? I'm not gonna go into this. Lots of potential different stakeholders that you can have. And also keep your accounts profile. Keep looking back to them. This is an example of one of the companies that I'm doing consulting for. But keep an eye on them and keep on the news what is happening, and keep following them because they are your customers or they are your potential customers. So you want to learn everything about them. So how to reach to my customers? That's very important. As you know very well, in January in San Francisco, where I live, we have one of the biggest conference for biotech is JP Morgan. And some of them may say, well, I want to go to JP Morgan, right? Because all the pharmas will be there, but how can I get invited? As you know, JP Morgan is by invitation only. And I was talking with them 3 weeks ago, and they told me that they reduced the invitations by 10%. So pretty difficult to get invited. Don't worry. actually, JP Morgan is not that important. There are so many conferences around JP Morgan. You can go there. And one of the things that I will advise you to do is to sign up for the partnering JP Morgan Week, the partnering bio, because that's amazing. You pay, I think, is $1,000, and you have access to all the biotechs that are in JP Morgan, and you have the possibility to reach out to them and to ask them for a meeting. So that's much better because you can start doing that. And my advice will be start doing that as soon as they open this possibility, sign up and start doing it. Because at the beginning, they don't have any meetings, right? But if you wait later, they are fully booked. So be smart on that. Start reaching out very early on. Then you have meetings like Endpoints. Endpoint is one of the best websites for what is happening, for the media of what is happening in pharma and in biotech. They have great talks, and lots of good CEOs go there to talk. So you can sign up, and then you just go to them and start talking to them about your startup. They have a big line, so make sure you sit in the front so you go very fast to talk to them. So because by the time they get to the 100 person, they really don't have their mind anymore where they have to have their mind, but that's for everyone. And then you have the receptions. I'm from Spain, so Spanish people, they are well known for doing lots of parties. So of course, when I tell this to everyone, you are gonna laugh. The receptions, the parties in JP Morgan is the best place to make deals. I know you are not gonna believe me. I know that you are gonna say that I'm from Spain and I'm a party animal and that's why I'm saying this, but it's not true. The people are relaxed. The people are done with the meetings. The people are done with the JP Morgan meetings of half an hour in a very small room, and it's awful. And then you are able to relax in those venues that are, by the way, very nice food and very nice drinks, and you can have a really good conversation. I can tell you, most of my deals were started there. And as you know very well, a deal, where it starts and how it starts is very important, because in this first meeting, they're gonna tell you everything that they will never tell you what you are negotiating. So you are gonna get all the information that you need, because they are relaxed and they are gonna tell you everything. They are gonna tell you what is my well, not what is my strategy, but why I think about regenerative medicine, or what do I think about Alzheimer's? Oh, I'm really interested in Alzheimer's. And you can start thinking, oh, really, you are interested in Alzheimer's? Oh, great. So, you know, are you interested in preclinical? Are you interested in clinical? And they're gonna tell you. So it's really the best place, really, believe me on that. So you have tons of things to do in JP Morgan. And even if you don't have meetings, just going there, you are able to meet everyone because everyone is there, right? Like, use the elevators. If you go to in a hotel to the third floor, start talking with the people in the elevator, really. You may find out that the VC you wanted to talk with is there. So leverage every single opportunity. It's exhausting. So make sure you sleep the week before. Make sure if you are gonna have jet lag, you fly a couple of days before, and maybe don't pay the $1,000 in San Francisco. Yeah, stay in San Mateo, maybe, where it's cheaper to stay those 2 days just to relax. But then make sure you use that week because it's amazing. The same is for bio. Sorry, here, for ASCO, if you are in oncology, or for any other conference in the therapeutic area that you are. Of course, for the digital health, for example, now in January, you have this amazing conference that, sorry, I don't recall, is in Las Vegas, and it's before JP Morgan. But you have lots of conferences. Make sure that you sign up for the most important ones. And then how do I know what is happening in pharma, in biotech, in digital health? Just follow some of the best media that is out there. Stat is really good. Fierce has different areas like digital health, med tech, and pharma. Endpoints is amazing for pharma. So just follow, make sure that maybe you subscribe, or maybe someone that you know subscribe and you can use the login. I mean, I'm just giving you ideas because as an entrepreneur, we have no money. So we have to use whatever is available out there. And then who to connect with? Make sure, as I mentioned, that you know your customer, that you know everything, that you know how they breathe, what they are interested in, what is their pipeline, what are the areas that they are interested on. And then once you reach out to them, don't start, for example, with an NDA right away, right? There is pharma, you are gonna find out that they don't like to sign NDAs. So start little by little having conversations, and only when you really feel that you are gonna show, for example, in therapeutics, all the data about your assets, then of course you have to sign the NDA. But at the beginning, don't make it difficult for them. I have seen cases where, oh, let's go into NDA, and then the pharma goes like, oh, no. And it's kind of a break deal, a break deal there. So just follow the customer rhythms. Of course, push it, because as an entrepreneur, we have to push them, but don't go too fast that you can break them away. What's my value proposition? So we talk about customer. Now we are going to talk about what to say to the customer, right? What is my value proposition? So at the beginning, when you are a pre-seed or when you are a seed, you are going to find out that your value proposition is going to evolve, and hopefully it will evolve. If it doesn't evolve, you have a problem. The more you talk with customers, the more you will find out what they want, what they need. And I'm going to give you an example. When I was the chief business officer of Just Biotherapeutics, ex-Amgen group from Seattle, we had a machine learning-driven platform for biologics, where we were doing drug discovery all the way to manufacturing. So by learning loops, we were able to determine whether a biologic, an antibody-like molecule, even a biospecific, whether it was developable or unmanufacturable. So at the beginning, our value proposition was we are able to bring antibodies as fast as possible to the clinic. And that was great, but that didn't really say anything because yes, so everybody that does drug discovery with machine learning can do that, right? Till we evolved talking with clients, and we saw that what we really were able to do is take care of their children, take care of their asset, because we are gonna make sure that it was developable and manufacturable. So it was a different value proposition, and that was really like the moment you will say to the people, to the professionals in pharma, they will relate, and the conversation was started. So this is just an example, but I just want you to really think on every conversation that you have with a potential partner. Improve your value proposition. Learn from there. What is important to them? How can I say my value proposition better? How can I communicate it better? So be flexible about this. The competitive landscape, we have talked about customer, we have talked about value proposition, and competitive landscape. Make sure you keep an eye to your competitors. First, you can learn from there, but even more important, you have to learn what are they offering to pharma, what is what they are selling to them, and how you are different from them. Because when you talk with pharma, they are going to ask you, oh, that's great. So you have this asset, that's amazing, but how is different from XYZ that also have that asset? Or when you have a diagnostics, how is different from these other companies that have a similar diagnostics? Or when you have a digital health offer, I cannot find you, but one of you had a glucose monitoring. And how is that different from the other glucose monitoring. Make sure that you keep an eye on it, because then your value proposition will improve, because you don't want to trash your competition, right? You don't want to say they are bad, but you want to say, this is how my product is really good. And of course, it's a way to say this, I am better than my competitor. Okay. So be very specific on the competitive landscape, because it can really help you a lot with your value proposition. I'm not going to go into this. You can have it as what is important for creating a competitive landscape, and also what are the most common mistakes that you do when you do a competition landscape. So business model. Remember, we have talked about customer, we have talked about value proposition, and we are going to talk now about business model. So the business model is how I'm going to sell it. To who am I going to sell? Is this going to be a business to business? Is this going to be a, for example, drug discovery, right? I'm a business, I'm a drug discovery. Am I going to sell to pharma, which is another business? Or I'm going to sell directly to customers. Maybe the digital health normally is that example where they sell directly to customers. The business model can evolve. And I want to give you an example here on 23andMe. They were business to customers. So what they did is they send this test where basically it's telling you your genetics and so on. And from that, they were getting lots of data. And that data was for them an amazing source of not revenue, but an amazing source of later revenue, because then they become a company on drug discovery. They were able to create drugs. Actually, they hire the ex-VP of research and development from pharma, from Genentech. So what I'm saying is that they went from business to customer, from that to business to customer, BBC. So make sure that always revise what is your offering and how can I get money out of that. That's really my big message here, because you may have something that someone may want, and that's very important now in the age of Gemini, of generative artificial intelligence, because you may have data that you can sell, or you have data that you can create and spin out in another company. So make sure that you are smart about all the offering that you have. You don't want to leave anything on the table, and you want to make money out of everything. And the distribution, what are my marketings, my sales channels that I'm using to assure that I'm profitable? So this is an example of communication and marketing of one of the companies that I'm doing consulting for. And what is my media relation mean? My social, my blogs, my website. Very often I have seen CEOs giving postcards, giving talks, and being published on internet. And that's a really cheap way to increase your marketing, to increase your outreach. You want everyone to know you. You want to be in the mouth of all your customers. So leverage social media, leverage being the expert on your startup. If you have an asset in Alzheimer, make sure you talk about Alzheimer in your social media, in your LinkedIn profile, give talks in the conference, because pharma is going to go there and they are going to see you as a important person that talks about that gets invited to the conference. So that's going to add. You are not just no one that is nowhere to be seen, right? So leverage that. If you are a scientist, it's very difficult, right? Because as a scientist, you just want to be working in your science the whole time, and you want to be working in your product, and you want to improve it the whole time, and you don't want to just go out there and give talks in maybe a marketing conference, right? But you have to be out there, because the business development people that are going to do deals with you are going to be there. And even if you are a super scientist that you are a Nobel Prize, you have to leverage your niveau and go to the stupid business development person like me. So sorry for that, but you have to do it. And activities and timeline. Timeline, very important. Keep track of what you want to do, how you want to do it, and the timeline. Because the worst thing that you want to do is to be, especially when you are a pre-seed, to be super perfectionist, to be perfectionist in your product, and then wait for people to come. So in America, they have this set of make it, and then improve it later, right? The 80-20. With 80% if it's enough, the 20% is gonna take too much. That's typical from consulting. The product, improve it, but not to perfectionist. Make sure you get the customer voice involved in the product. So don't be super, super perfectionist. And I have the sense that Japanese society is very perfectionist, so that's why I'm saying this. Make sure that if you are having a product maybe in digital health or maybe in diagnostics, yes, make it really good, but make sure that you incorporate the voice of the customer early on, because yeah, you don't want to just create something perfect that nobody's gonna want anyways. Let's get into how you make deals, how you make money. So the deals with pharma, for example, but this can be applicable to any other industry. So in pharma, for example, if you are a tool company, if you are doing drug discovery, if you are helping with cell therapy, or if you are helping with cell lines, for example, you are gonna develop a statement of work. And in this statement of work, you are gonna write everything that you are gonna do for the pharma as a service. Or if you are gonna do that for a hospital, right? You are gonna write everything. You have to be pretty specific. And the reason why I say pretty specific is because as a business development, what I like to do with the SOWs that my scientists write is to put successful milestones. Successful milestone is something that is really, really easy to put. Why? Because if you do something for pharma, they get a result that is good, they will be okay paying you. So just split that successful. Say, hey, I'm doing this for you. This is supposed to you 100 million. It's okay if I get 10% of that. Successful milestones. Put lots of successful milestones. If are too many, don't worry. The accountants will reduce it, and then they will put it a successful milestone every 3 months. It doesn't matter. It adds. And that's for the tool companies, for the service provider companies, that's the best way to make money. The other trick is make sure that you put an upfront that covers all your expenses, because you don't want to run out of money, because you don't want to go, because you have to really give good results. You can have a really good branding. Everyone may think that you are really good, but if you have a bad story, that's it. We are in biotech. We are a very small society. So word of mouth, everything knows everyone. I was laughing with my colleague in the panel was saying BioJent, because the word of mouth in Boston is that BioJent is really sucks. So why? Because they had some failures, right? So they did an amazing job. They were a really great company. All of a sudden, you have a no success story. Then, it's really hard. Biotech is really hard. No mercy. So, and then exclusivity. Be careful with exclusivity. For the people, for example, working in diagnostics, companion diagnostics, one of the biggest issues when you do a deal with companion diagnostics with a pharma is that they will tell you, I want exclusivity. I don't want this diagnostic to be with my competitors, for example, Roche, Novartis, which hate each other. How do you solve that? You solve that with the theory that machine learning does. So the more data I get, the better I become, and therefore, the more I will be able to help you. Everyone understands that. So make sure you use almost like child reasoning, but in business, it's almost like dealing with child sometimes. So really make sure that you see the point of the other person when you are doing the deal. That's the really, if you want to keep only one thing of all the things that I say, make sure that you put in the shoes of the other person. It will help you a lot to close the deal. And then the last thing, sorry, pilot studies and feasibility studies is the best way to start working with pharma. Don't go for the big deal. Just go for the small deal so they understand how you work. They understand how wonderful your startup is, how wonderful your technology is. Go for the small money. It's okay. It will increase. I promise you, it will increase. If you are able to close a small deal, it's easier. From the accountant point of view, from the legal point of view, from the C-level point of view, from everything. A small deal, feasibility study is the best way, and then it will increase. This is lots of tips of my experience, but I'm not gonna go. You can read them. Yeah, the same that I say, basics and financials. Financials, very, very important. Upfronts, milestones, and royalties. That's only when you have IP. If you are a CDMO, if you are a tool company, if you don't have IP that you are giving to the pharma, don't ask for royalties because they are gonna laugh at you. So make sure you know what you have and the value that you bring to your customer. And as I mentioned, exclusivity, very important. Exclusivity, maybe in geographic, you can say, okay, I want to keep exclusivity of this asset in Japan, and you have the exclusivity in the States. It depends. There are all kind of variety there. What are the indications? Maybe you want exclusivity in one indication, and you want to give to the partner the exclusivity in another indications, a whole variety there. Lots of deals, as I mentioned, difference in if it's asset acquisition or licensing, whether it's research and development discovery. For time purposes, I'm not gonna go so much. And then the practical tips. This is my favorite 2 slides. Never, ever give up. Never. You are already here. You have already made it to here. So you are already in the right path. A no today is a no today. It can be a yes tomorrow. You just have to ask, hey, well, how can I convert this no into a yes? Very simple question. Nobody's gonna hate you for asking that. Just be smart. If you get a no, I mean, think about your kids. If you get a no from your kids, are you gonna say no? No, you are gonna say, okay, you'll get it to the yes. The same in business, okay? Network, 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 and network again. Contacts is everything. You may want to do a deal with pharma and you may not know who is the key decision making. Do not worry. Just try to find who you know in pharma. Maybe they know someone who knows that person. And if not, then try to ask your colleagues CBOs, try to ask your other CEOs, try to talk to the successful stories in Japan. This is all about network. And don't try the cold call, what they say, cold call, just call someone. No, if you don't know him, try to get introduced through someone that has done a deal with them or that knows them or that knows someone who knows them. Try to find a champion inside the company. That one that he looks good by helping you. For example, very clear example in drug discovery machine learning. Sanofi announced that they want to go all into machine learning, everything machine learning now. Okay, well, if you are a drug discovery machine learning base, that's your company, right? Because they need you. So try to find Do you know someone who knows someone? And when you write them the email, start saying that your CEO announced that you are going all in machine learning. So I am your solution. Try to find who is that champion that is gonna look good if they partner with you. Keep always a balanced portfolio of deals. There are deals that are low risk, low reward. There are deals that are high risk, high reward. Balanced portfolio, because the low risk, low reward, you are gonna close them faster. The high risk, high reward, maybe pharma is gonna take forever, 1 year, 6 months to 1 year. Just to close an NDA with a pharma can take you 3 months. So make sure that you have a balanced portfolio, because then you will always be balanced in BD. So make sure to keep that. That's very important. Love your customer. We already say that is the best marketing tool, the word of mouth, and undersell and over-deliver. And keep always a strong pipeline of opportunities. And my last slide, congratulations, you guys have made it. Thank you for your attention. Never forget the patient. We are here because we do care to the patient. So make sure you put always the patient in the center of what you do. We are so lucky that we wake up every morning thinking that we are doing something good for the world. We are trying to save lives. We are trying to make the patients healthier. That's very, very important. And create a strong network of support, and learn from the mistakes. Celebrate the successes. Please celebrate the successes, because this is so hard that if you don't celebrate the successes, you are gonna burn out, and you don't have the luxury to be burned out. So please celebrate successes. And biotech is very hard, but you can do it. Believe in yourself. We believe in yourself. That's what we are here. I flew from San Francisco because I believe in the startups that I saw. I believe in the presentations that I saw. So please believe in yourself. You can make it. And have fun. Have fun along the way. Thank you so much.